Welcome. This is battle report number 1 for my channel. This will be the first battle report I've ever produced. So if it is a little rough around the edges, I apologize. Hopefully in the future I will figure out a few tricks or tips to increase the quality. As the title suggests, this is a Beastmen versus Wood Elves battle report. We are doing a standard battle line deployment and victory conditions. This is me playing my wife at our home. So, to get into it, the Beastmen army is made up of a Beast Lord, a Doom Bull with the layout you can see here. Mostly important to note is he has a 1-up rerollable armor save and makes a attack back whenever a armor save is successfully rolled. A Great Brave Shaman. This is my Flying Death build that I generally run. I find the Flying Death to be quite nice for a maneuverability perspective. I often ran him in a block of gore and found that the line of sight could often be an issue when people would be moving around me. It is less survivable, and you'll see that, but it is a nice thing I like. I have 2 Brave Shamans, one carrying a Dispel Scroll, and one carrying the Shard of the Herdstone. The Herdstone, for those who don't know, provides a extra power dice during my magic phase for each friendly wizard within 6 inches of it. So these 2 level 1 Shadow Mages are essentially just a power dice battery. 2 free power dice every magic phase while my magic phase while they're alive. I have the typical, what they would call the 206 BSB. It is a Wargore. He has a 2-up armor save and the Beast Banner, which gives +1 strength to the unit he goes in. So, not super survivable, but pretty good considering that I have a big block of gore that you'll see next. So, I have 45 gore, full command, additional hand weapons. Pretty standard. 2 Tuskor Chariots, 3 5x Ungor Raiders with no upgrades, a unit of 5 Minotaurs with Musician, Standard Bearer, extra hand weapons. These are more or less just the bodyguard for the Doom Bowl to transport him into combat, and I'll have some comments about this at the end of the game, and 3 single Razor Gores. So that completes out the Beastmen army. I should make a point that this is a 2,500 point game. So on the next slide is the Wood Elf army. She has a Spell Weaver, a Talisman of Preservation, Great Eagle, Lore of Death. It is a very similar to my Flying Death Mage. It is a Flying Death Mage that she enjoys, which works out pretty well for her. Similarly, survivable, this is mine, but a little bit less point cost because she doesn't need to use the Arabian Carpet. She could use the Great Eagle, which is actually of some benefit. 2 Glade Captains. One of the Glade Captains is just the Battle Standard Bearer. The other Glade Captain is riding a Great Stag. The Armor of Destiny Azrai Spirit. It's just a little extra punch she can add to a unit of Wild Riders or run it by itself, depending on. And then she has a Spell Singer with the Lure of Life and a few tricks, including the Ruby Ring of Ruin, which she forgets about, so that doesn't really come into play. 3 units of Glade Guard, True Flight arrows on each of them, and Musician, a unit of Glade Riders, 5 with True Flight arrows, a Tree Man with a Strangleroot upgrade, 2 units of 5 Deepwood Scouts with True Flight arrows, 6 Treekin with the Elder, which is just the champion, and 2 units of 5 Wild Riders, excuse me, with shields. So, a somewhat mobile version, lots of shooting, standard Wood Elf from what I can really tell. So, onto magic. My magic, I got, as you can see here, both of my level 1 shadows are just running miasma. I tend to just do that so that I can just throw a small number of dice at it, and then my Death Mage got everything I would want. So onto Wood Elf magic. She has the cards you can see here. Very happy she got Dwellers. And she rolled a 1, 2, 3, and 4 for her Death Magic, which bummed her out a little bit, but it's not atrocious. So she has what you can see here. So on to deployment. My deployment on my left, well, my right side, her left side, I have a unit of 5 Ungor Raiders, Razor Gore, 5 Ungor Raiders. Behind that is a Tuskor Chariot. I custom modeled these Tuskor Chariots. It looks like they're a Razor Gore Chariot if you're all concerned about it, but the making my own Razor Gores has been very fun, and so I continue to do that, so I just call them Tuskor Chariots and warn everybody up front. So, etc., etc. Another Tuskor Chariot, a unit of Minotaurs and Doom Bull installed. My center, again, my Minotaurs, Doom Bull installed. There is my Herd Stone, and behind my Herd Stone is all my mages. So they're just kind of standing there hanging out. My unit of 45 Gore with my Beast Lord and BSB installed. Tuskor Chariot. And my very far is the 5 Ungor Raiders and another Razor Gore. So you can see I deployed out a little wide. I'm pretty used to playing against armies with scouts, so it's a pretty solid habit for me to make sure she can't get behind me. Otherwise, I have hopefully put the fighty blocks together so they can work in dualism, I don't know. Just so they can fight together. So hopefully we can get some benefit out of that. So on her deployment, I apologize for some of these blurry pictures. I think I'm going to switch over to just using my camera phone. It works actually a little better than the camera that I was attempting to use. So that is a piece of impassable terrain. So she has her Wild Riders. They are actually 2x just set up so that she can run through there and reform next turn. She has her Tree Man, the unit of archers with her Life Mage intact. Into the middle is a unit of archers with BSB. The Treekin, my wife really wanted me to let me know that yes, she has a Groot and Rocket is her Treekin Elder. So I'll just bring that up quick. Her Flying Death Mage, another unit of archers, and finally on the far end, a unit of Wild Riders, followed by the Glade Captain on a Great Stag. She decided not to pop him in with that unit this time just because there isn't anything on that side that's too terribly threatening, so she could just individually take things out as opposed to grouping together to do that. So, scouts come out. Her 2 scouts, I have no scouts, so she places them as such. And here's a better picture of my mages hiding behind my Herdstone. She has true flight arrows on everything, so the only way to be safe at all is just to not be visible. So, turn 1. And turn 1 goes to the Wood Elves. So, in movement, she moves her Wild Riders up and reforms them a bit. Otherwise, that's it for that side. And on this side, she moves up her Death Mage to get into range, and then moves her Wild Riders up, reforms a bit, and moves her Glade Captain up. So not a lot of movement, but not really expected. We go into Magic. Magic is 12-7, which is kind of rough for me off the start. We start with a Spirit Leech, which was dispelled. She then casts Doom of Darkness on my Minotaurs, which was I let go. I wasn't that concerned about it at this moment because I already got Spirit Leech dispelled. She then casts Caress of Lenneth on my Razor Gore. She probably concerns herself a little more with these than they need to be, but they are tough 5, so it is kind of a pain for Strength 3 elves. But and then she gets a wound on that Razor Gore out of it. So that was really it for Magic. Nothing too crazy, but it was just a little bit of debuffs and some wounds. So go into shooting, and my far right Ungor Raiders get smashed up. She puts another wound on the center Razor Gore. 2 Ungor Raiders on my left fall over, and 3 whole Minotaurs fall over. So lovely, lovely, lovely. Mm, Minotaurs just they're too expensive. I gotta get that off my chest. But anyway, I'll complain about that later. So just some overview pictures here of, oh, I guess, no, this is my movement. I apologize. So how I move up my pigs and reposition my chariot on the right side, mostly just making sure everyone is 6 inches apart and playing the standoff game with those Wild Riders and Glade Captain. Maybe a little frenzy bait, a little hope that she'll hit something, overrun, and I can get a nice flank charge with something into those Wild Riders. Because generally I don't like to deal with them from the front, but from the sides I can at least have a bit of hope. So in the center, I successfully restrain with my Minotaurs, even at -3 leadership, so that's good. They move up their full movement. My Gore move up their full movement. I swing this chariot in a little bit, fly up my Death Mage, and on the left side, sorry for the picture, move up my Ungor Raiders to frenzy bait the Wild Riders, as I generally do. Yes, they're leadership 9, but they're out of BSB range, so there's always hope that they can do something very silly. So, into Magic. Magic was 8 to 5. I attempted to cast Caress of Lenif on her level 2 spell singer, and that was dispelled. I then attempt to cast Spirit Leech on that same one, and as you can see, was very. Caress was scrolled, and then this was easily beaten with dice. So that's the end of my magic phase, and my shooting is not inexistent, but pretty useless. So it didn't do anything, as it normally doesn't. So we go into turn 2. In turn 2, the Wild Riders fail their frenzy test, which is awesome. So they have to charge those Ungor Raiders, which will get them out of position, and that is great. In her center, she moves up her Tree Man and Treekin a little bit, mostly just to block off the archers a little bit. So when I come in, she can hopefully do some fleas with those scouts and etc. etc. It's pretty standard, absorb and redirect as you need be. Her Death Mage flies way over here. He's not in the woods, just outside, but this gives him a pretty good position to snipe at my Doom Bowl and my Death Mage, and any other of my Hearthstone mages as need be. And on the right, she holds back with everything. It's an idea. She just reformed a little bit and didn't want to get in and get hitting anything, I guess, too early. But here, hindsight's everything. I probably would have pushed up more aggressively, but that's all right. Magic for her is 11 to 6. She is getting some very good magic phases, unlike me. So, sorry, the spell is upside down, but there is her roll for Dwellers Below on my Gore unit. So I have to dispel scroll that because that would have been atrocious. And then her next cast was she failed to bubble Soul Blight with the rest of her dice, just rolled abysmal. So that didn't get off. So we move into shooting. And my right Ungor Raiders obviously are destroyed by True Flight arrows. My left Razor Gore takes 2 wounds. And her Glade Riders came on turn 2 and moved next to my Hearthstone. So she shoots one of my mages or shamans at the stone. That's okay. And one of her units of archers shoots off 3 Gore, and that's okay too. So we move into combat, and obviously the Wild Riders destroy these Gores, so that's fine. And they overrun for a sweet flank charge with my pig. The only downside is I count up, so my pig only has 1 wound left, which is bad because it's always strikes first. Elves, even in the flank, there's 2 solid hits they could get through, but still, it's still looking okay. It's a pretty good scenario. So what we're showing here is, this is my turn. So charges to declare, my Minotaurs declare charge into those scouts who flee. My Minotaurs will redirect into the Treekin as opposed, and they pass their low leadership, so that's good. Oh yeah, and by the way, I leave Doom of Darkness on for way too long. I wasn't getting that great at magic phases, and I just left it on. I probably should have taken it off, but hindsight. This pig, my left Razor Gore, is going to charge into those guys, of course. My Gore are going to charge the Tree Man. And here's my Minotaurs redirecting into the Treekin. And this pig is going to charge into something. I gotta learn to take a little better pictures of that, but maybe we'll see when we see some resolutions. So my Minotaurs make it into these Treekin, which would be okay. That's not great, but hey, they're kind of inverted. So strength 5, tough 4 to strength 4, tough 5. It's okay. Gets my Doom Bowl to work. My pig obviously makes it into flank here. My Gore make it into this Tree Man, no problem. Strangle Roots does take out 2 of them along the way, and that's okay. And my pig, here it is. My pig fails the charge into the Wild Riders. Oh, no. I take that back. My pig fails the charge into the Glade Captain. The right one tries to charge into the Glade Captain. The left pig in this picture just moves up to bait those Wild Riders a little bit. And see, already has 2 wounds, etc., etc. He's not that amazing. All right. Here's a blurry picture just showing a layout of the board. My magic phase is 6 to 4. I start with a Spirit Leech on the Spell Singer, the level 2 lower life one. And there are our rolls. So goodbye. Spirit Leech to death. Sweet. That's it for magic. Since it was 6 to 4, I must have done something else. She probably dispelled it. Sorry, I don't have a picture of that. Into combats, because again, my shooting is, I think, non-existent at this point. The Wild Riders take no problem. A single one smashes up my pig real good and reforms, so that sucks. That was a free reform for them. Probably should have rethought that, but what are you going to do? This is a picture showing my Primal Fury test for my Gores, which is sweet. In Primal Fury, with your roll double 1s, you also get Hatred and Frenzy, so they're pretty angry. And I also did make way with my Beast Lord to the side of the Tree Man. He's swinging Strength 8 currently, so he is a prime candidate for Tree Man killing. And and in my movement phase, I moved my Flying Death Mage over here for some reason. Probably just to, so I could snipe out some guys and be a little more out of range of, I guess, some other stuff. But at the end of that combat, she kills 6 Gores, and I put 4 wounds on the Tree Man. So Tree Man survives, and I win combat here, but Tree Man stubborn, doesn't care, rerollable 10 leadership. So Tree Man did his job a little bit, hung out for a turn. So into this combat, she challenges out with her champion, and I accept. I don't think I have a choice, and so that's fine. So we go into combat, and my Doom Bull is free frenzied. So 6 attacks, always strikes first, re-rolling, pretty sweet. So I land 5 hits, and that's awesome. And so Doom Bull strength 6 to tough 5, so 3s to wound. And this is my wound rolls. Not a single wound from the Doom Bull. Gross. Very, very gross. So, okay, I have 2 Minotaurs, right? They're frenzied with extra hand weapons. They wound on 4. And there's my wound rolls for my Minotaurs. So, 1. Neat. Neato. So, needless to say, I take a couple of wounds back on the Minotaurs. She has lots of treekin, obviously still standing, 5 of them outside of the champion. I do lose combat, but I stick. I stick just barely, especially Big Doom of Darkness and everything, but I do manage to stick on my reroll. So that's just the outcome of that. She ate a Minotaur, put another wound on another, and so the standard is just hanging out, and we're stuck in that challenge. So, turn 3. The Wild Riders declare a charge into the gore. The Glade Captain on Great Stag charges the pig. And these guys, these Wild Riders charge that pig. So that's fine. I held with this pig. I could have fled, but I actually am more than happy for her just because where my chariot's positioned, for her to hit this and just overrun for hopefully be able to get a flank charge or something else. This pig only has 1 wound left anyway, so if it would have ran, it just would have been shot. So this charge also makes it, and these Wild Riders also make it into the rear of my gore. This doesn't worry me as much as it probably would for a lot of other people. Those gore in the back are gonna get a swing, and they're swinging to strength 4 right now with rerolls. So yeah, I'm gonna lose a lot of models, but I'm gonna swing back, and it's probably gonna be okay. And very unlikely to lose steadfast in this scenario. Yeah, because they're just not gonna have all the models left to do that. But anyway. So, this is another picture of that tree man in the front. She moved her archers back a bit. She did rally both of her units of scouts, both rallied. So, yeah, there's that other unit of scouts. And just moving around a little bit. Her mage flew up over here. I think her intention was to bubble Soul Blight if she could do it, etc., etc. So we go into magic, and for her it's a pretty bust. I think it's 2 to 1. But even then, with her 2 dice, she gets Soul Blight off on my Minotaur / Doom Bull unit. So that's sweet. We go into shooting. She puts 3 wounds. I guess for some reason I was counting down with these guys and counting up. I gotta get consistent with that. Anyway, she puts 3 wounds on the chariot on the right. She puts 1 wound on my shaman here and my herdstone, so that's sweet. So I get my power dice next turn. And my chariot on the left takes 3 wounds as well. So they're not out of commission, but they're pretty much pretty battered. So that's okay. We go into combat, and it is a pretty solid mess. So I lose a total of 8 guys. Not a fantastic showing for the Wild Riders, but not atrocious if you consider 3 attacks each with frenzy and devastating charge. You know, it probably could have been a little better, but 8 isn't atrocious because I am toughness 4. So we lose that. My gores in the back swing back and kill all of the Wild Riders. And my gores that are in the front kill the tree man before my beast lord or the tree man can swing. So we clean that up pretty solidly. I probably would recommend she not send in those Wild Riders like that in the future. At least not to that rear, just as I get all those attacks back. But anyway, we move into this combat, which is just amazing. She finishes off my Minotaurs, so he's good and dead. And I'm pretty sure my Doombull flubs really bad again in his challenge. Here is my failed leadership test. Oh no, I failed. Yeah, no, excuse me. This is our fleas and pursues. So I got beat because my Doombull did Jack Squad again, which is awesome. And I flee 8, and she pursues 7. So good. We got away. Debuff to hell, but we got away. So that's solid. And on the right, these Wild Riders smack up my pig real good, and that's okay. And overrun 2 here, which is super fine. The Glade Captain and this pig just smack my pig a little bit. Oh, right. That's the impact hit wounds outcomes. So my pig gets killed real good just on impact hits, which is sweet. Into my turn. Sorry for the picture. I see a nice flank charge with my chariot into these Wild Riders who overran, which is exactly what I wanted. And Mr. Chariot makes it, so that's great. Hopefully, I know he only has 1 wound left, but it's hoped that the impact hits will do the work for me, since they are tough 3 elves. My Gores charged into the archers here. That wound counter there is showing that I lost a wound on the way in on my BSB because he tripped in the woods. Here's a blurry picture showing that my Doombull does rally, surprisingly, on his 5 leadership now. And just some stuff that has moved around, I guess. I'm kind of misplaying that chariot at the bottom there. I don't really know what I should have done with him, but he's just kind of standing around being useless. And here's an overview picture on the right side. As you can see, yes, that pig is gone, and we smack into the side there. So, move into my magic phase. My magic phase is 7-5, which is super sweet. And so I say, fine. I flew my Death Mage behind the Treekin, who are no longer in combat, and said purple sun through them because they are like initiative 2 or something really low, and that would have been awesome. So I rolled my 6 dice. It is not irresistible, but it does go off. And she dispels it on 5 dice. Neat. So that was fun. I don't know what I did with my last dice. It probably was not consequential. No shooting, so we go into combat. Impact hits kill 2. I ended up doing like 4 impact hits and 4 wounds, but she did ward save 2 of them. I killed 2, but she did no wounds to me. My 1 wound left. I did no more wounds, but I broke her combat and ran him down, which was pretty sweet. That's definitely a good trade. I know my chariot's going to die to those archers next turn, but that was a perfect trade for me. 80-point chariot to whatever, 140 points or something Wild Riders. So super sweet. the combat in the middle, we kill all of those archers, but she takes my BSB out with them. My BSB has a 2-up armor save. Those elves are strength 3, not armor piercing. 1 wound gets through on my BSB, and I roll a 1. So awesome. The other wound counter showing that she actually got a wound through on my general too. So my general has a 3-up, 4-up against these elves, and failed one of those too. So super awesome. What I don't have a picture of is I do overrun into those scouts at the bottom. So, and also as a side note, I am losing a few guys in that is a venom thicket, and so every turn that I do this kind of stuff, I keep dropping a few more guys. So you notice some of them are disappearing, and that's kind of where a lot of them are going. So turn 4. Just a picture, I guess, of this for some reason. Oh, that was for, it's just out of order. That was supposed to be of last turn, showing that I overran into them. Movement, the Glade Riders move back away from my chariot. The Death Mage in the top left there flies up a little bit to get in range for whatever shenanigans she wants to do. Here's a picture actually showing my flying Death Mage moving in for Purple Sun that failed. She reforms her archers to take as many shots at that mage as possible. My mage is tough 5 with a 4-up ward, so it's 6s to wound, and it's not great, but it's pretty survivable. The fact that Beastmen get a toughness 5 level 4 mage is pretty cool, considering all the other crap we get. But anyway, so that's just an overview of that. Movement on the other side, she moves these archers up a little bit, just to shoot up my chariot, and then the Glade Captain comes marching over to try to get into something, since that side of the board is cleaned up, essentially. So we move into magic. It is a 6/4 for my opponent. She gets off a Spirit Leech, which is awesome. The Spirit Leech on my Doom Bowl. And since I still have Doom of Darkness on, which is super smart, we roll 3 and she rolls 3. And in the end, I take 4 wounds on my Doom Bowl out of 5. So that is not awesome. It's okay. I mean, he's still there as long as he's in combat. I don't know, but yeah, that sucks. That sucks a lot. Oh, he must not be in combat right now. Yeah, that's the deal. He's not in combat. She's just standing there. She moved up her Treekin just to keep him from going anywhere else, and then she could snipe at him. Yeah. Okay, so took 4 wounds. That sucks. Was not in combat. Mistaken. Okay. Cast a something on my mage here. Soul Blight, looks like. So, yep, that sucks a little bit. That's going to bring me down to toughness 4 and not be quite as useful. We go into shooting, and her Glade Riders finish off my Herdstone battery, and that kind of sucks, but that's okay. These archers, no problem, do a wound to Mr. Chariot. Easy. Out of all of these shots, I only take 1 wound on my Death Mage, which is pretty good, actually, considering I was wounding on 5s, hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s. It's pretty lucky outcome for that. I was kind of surprised. We move into combat, and I, of course, slaughter these here elves. I take a couple of wounds for my trouble. I reform as such. I probably should have bust them up, but wasn't really thinking that well. So this must be into, now we're into my turn. So bottom 4 must be. My Gores try to charge the, yes, here's a better picture. My Gores try to charge the archers, the first unit of archers. They fled. I redirected into the scouts, and they also fled. And they both ran pretty far, so I just had a failed charge into the woods, which you can see kills some more guys. Running through that wood sucks. I attempted to charge my chariot into the Glade Riders, and they shot him dead, which was sweet. We go into magic phase, and it's 6-4. So I say, oh man, I really need to dispel Doom of Darkness, and I do. Doesn't look like anything else happened of usefulness. So we go into combat. I finally kill. Oh yes, I charged. Challenged. I assume my opponent challenged, and I smacked down the elder, the champion. So I finally gained my frenzy back, and the Treekin though are steadfast and stick. So we move on to turn 5. In turn 5, my opponent declares a charge into the side of the Doom Bowl. I thought about this and we talked about it, and we weighted about 50-50 of usefulness. The real benefit here is just the Glade Captain comes in and my Doom Bowl can challenge. Then the Treekin can't hit the Doom Bowl, but whether or not you want the Treekin hitting the Doom Bowl is kind of a mixed bag, because the Doom Bowl gets to swing back if you actually successfully wound, and I get an armor save out of it. The Doom Bowl gets an armor save out of it. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of here. It's kind of here there. Succeeds. The archers and the scouts rally up top. Not surprising, because they are elves. This unit of elves on the right fails to swift reform, which was sweet. So just does a regular reform and cannot shoot at me this turn. We go into magic, and it's 11-6. Magic phases are very, very much dice-wise in my opponent's favor. So I can't read what that is, and I apologize. I shall have to work on this in the future, but it is a... Oh, it's that. It's just still soul blighted. I think we're still doing movement. We'll get there in a second. So rally. Okay, here we go. Magic. So we start off with a caress on my mage, and that's sweet. I don't know. I saw. Anyway, maybe that's Doom of Darkness. Yeah. Okay. Caress comes in. I fail one of my worst saves. No. Caress of Linen. Oh, I fail my Dispel. That comes through. I am a little out of sequence here. I apologize. Something happened, and then we came up to a Spirit Leech, which I failed to dispel. And okay, so I must have dispelled Caress, and Spirit Leech came through and killed the hell out of my level 4. So that sucks. My magic is all gone. Quite to her success. The Glade Riders move up and shoot a couple of these guys out. Nothing of super consequence. Taking another picture of this for some reason. Oh. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. We're into my movement here. So, oh no, this is combat. Okay. So in combat, I put a wound on the Glade Captain. And the Glade Captain does nothing to me. So with charge and a flank to my 1 wound, I lose combat, but I stick on my leadership 8, I think it is at this point, because I'm within range of my general over there. So I lose my frenzy again, and we're just going to stand around, which is super sweet. We go into my turn. I debated charging my Gores at that archer block and realized I'm going to take a whole bunch of shots in the face, and I'm going to run through those woods, which is just gonna suck. So instead of that, my general comes charging out into the side of the treekin to give a little help to Mr. Doombull there. Looking at what I can or can't clean up. My assumption is, yeah, I have a couple more rounds of combat. Hopefully, I can get these treekin cleaned up, and hopefully, I can get that Glade Captain cleaned up, and that'll at least be some points that I can get. If my gore can not get shot to death, at least I can keep those pieces or points. So we go into combat. Because I don't have any magic or shooting, and my Beast Lord takes a wound, but does some damage back. He is swinging strength 7 now, but he's getting a. Oh, that's right. I keep failing Primal Furies on him. He's leadership 9. And yes, I don't have a reroll, but man, that sucks. But at least he's hitting on 3s and he's wounding on 2s, so that's pretty good. But anyway, and my Doombull successfully does another wound onto the Glade Captain. So I actually win this combat, but nobody runs away, and I get my frenzy back, which is coming and going. So turn 6. My opponent moves the Flying Death Mage up a wee bit, and the horse archer's up just for fun, I guess, because it doesn't matter where they are true flight. So just to get some fun going in Magic, 6-3, being that she is a level 4 and I have no mage, it's pretty much fair game to do whatever she wants. So put Soul Blight on my core here, just to reduce her toughness by 1, which is pretty good, because if she can shoot them off, she can get the points. Otherwise, she gets no points for them. And then Tombs of Darkness is my general, which is okay. That's not great, but could be worse. So we go into shooting, and holy crapola. We have a whole, it's bad. It's bad. Three guys are left to standard, the champion and the musician are left standing. And that's not good. I don't have a picture of, is they fail their panic and they run. So funny enough, the champion falls over, or not the champion, sorry. The banner falls over, and the musician trips in the woods. So I'm left with my champion, so I get to keep the points for that unit because this is top of 6, and she doesn't get another chance to shoot at him, which is awesome. And they're not nearly close enough to the board to run off. So spoiler alert, I guess, but. So we go into this combat. I was just showing here that my Doombull finally smashed up their Glade Captain, so that's great. And my Beast Lord finally goes to work and kills him 2 Treekin. One where I had some damage on him already. When one of their arms fell off, so that was kind of fun for the picture. And that was probably also bottom of 6. There wasn't anything to move. They didn't rally. My cores didn't rally, and I don't have any magic, so it was probably 2 rounds of combat thrown at you really fast there. I apologize, but yes. So in the end, this is basically what it looks like. I have a slide here with the total points achieved. The Beastmen achieved 1,493 points, while the Wood Elves earned 1,635 points, for a difference of 142 points. And so I give that a victory to the Wood Elves. A big problem for the Wood Elves earning the points, or why it was so close at this point when it looked like it was a pretty solid slaughter, is the fact that my Beast Lord is 257 points, and he's still there. My Doombull is 348 points, and he's still there. and that gore block is 385 points, and it's still there. So, that's quite a bit of points. Still just standing on the board, especially when technically they're all at 1 wound, because the Doom Bull had 4 wounds and the Beast Lord had 2 wounds, and yeah, it was pretty lucky that they kept survived that at all. So victory to the Wood Elves, which is perfectly fine. I have been playing with this list for a while, or for a few games, and it's good to get to try it on against a non-combat-y list, and it was a fun game all in all. A good afternoon spent, so that's always fun. Some final thoughts on this whole battle. I think I will try to include this section, just give some musings or thoughts on what happened. And as most commenters would say, please comment or questions on this video, or point out any things that we did or didn't that were silly. There weren't really any rule questions that came up during this game, since it's pretty straightforward, run into things or run away from things. So my thoughts are on the Minotaurs as the Doom Bull bodyguard. It's a tough pill to swallow, because your base Minotaur is 55 points, which is incredibly overcosted in the current game with the other books considered. A base Minotaur comes with light armor and a hand weapon. 55 points for 3 wounds is atrocious, just atrocious. I don't honestly think the Blood Greed is that much is worth points in that favor, especially when you overrun dice 6 inches is kind of lame. But I've been running my Minotaurs extra hand weapon, banner, and musician, and I think I'm going to stop the extra hand weapon and banner part. For 5 guys, the extra hand weapon is like 20 points. It's something really stupid. And the banner is like 20 points. So I can knock 40 points off that bodyguard brick, and that'll be great. Because every game I've played so far with that, the Minotaurs have never survived. And it's like a guaranteed 300 something points for my opponent. Yes, they're great to get the Doom Bolt to where he needs to go, but I could at least knock 40 points off that price tag. That's just a bit of ranting on those guys. I do like the models. I do like the fluff. I just wish they cost 50 points and got a heavy armor and free weapon upgrade, or just something like that. But I doubt that Games Workshop is ever going to give us a new book for Beastmen at this point. So I'll just be content to live with them as they are. The other surprise for me was that the Flying Death Mage survived that long with all those archers out. I guess my magic was pretty much a bust, so she was able to ignore them and do anything else until the end, when that Flying Death Mage was pretty well cleaned up when all my other stuff was out of the way. And as another thought, I still love my Gores. The Gores are great. They're mean and plenty fast and everything. Taking Wild Riders into the rear and spanking them back is just awesome. So I'm very happy with that. So if you sat and watched all of this, thank you. This is a picture of our recently shaved dog being very bored and annoyed that we were playing and not petting her or various things. So please comment or provide any feedback on what I could do to make these be a little better or more concise. Anything like that, I will take it into consideration. If I do not speak clearly enough, anything technical or game-wise, I would love the feedback. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.